Hi everyone, this is Michael from Kikioo. Just thought I'd give you a quick intro and overview as to what this course is all about. We're aiming to be really brief and to just smash through it as quickly as possible with you. The idea is to give you the power kind of plays that our clients use to really get ahead. We find that the ones that see the best results are usually the ones that implement these tips as quickly as possible. But initially, just this first one is to give you a basic overview of the dashboard and what it's about. The course itself is going to be broken into different sections. Basically, the first section is setup and giving you an overview of what it looks like, and then running you through how to run a campaign for candidates, and then a campaign for clients, and then bits and bobs after that. So hopefully this gives you a quick understanding of what the Kikioo software looks like and how it functions. So yeah, this is the dashboard. When you log in, this is the first screen you usually see, and you can see it gives you kind of an overview of all of the big things that have been running on your system as it stands over that time. Now, if you look down the bottom here, you can switch off different things. Usually what I really want to focus on, I don't really mind that much about profile views or Twitter invites or in-mails per se. These are the three that I focus on. The most important thing is invites, because what you want to do is you want to scale up to 100. Then once it's at 100, you want to have it sitting at 100 the entire time. You can also, it's useful to see how many acceptances you get. Interesting to see that I had 68 acceptances yesterday, and that's usually because everybody's coming back from the Christmas break, and I've been sending invites throughout this period here at 100 per day. So bang, there we go. Lots of acceptances there. But essentially, usually, if you're running at 100 a day, you can expect between 20 to 30 acceptances, sometimes more. One other thing to note is when you're running large sequence campaigns like here, where I was running up around 250 per day, that's a lot of those. You can only get up there when you're doing it to first degree connections, but we'll get into that later on. One thing to note is you can specify by the last however many dates, and you can also pick different campaigns. So let's see, I'm running this one here. Let's see how we did in the last week with tech exec recruiters. There we go. Now you can see here, lots of acceptances, then down to 0. And also 0 sequences. This is because it's pretty much run out of juice and I need to start a new campaign, which tells me I need to start again. You can see 283 invites, 130 acceptances. That's pretty good considering we've been running it over Christmas. That's pretty close to 50% acceptance rate, which is a good result. And I hope that you see many results like that also. Right, this is pretty much the engine room. This is where you get a lot of the information regarding your actual campaigns. So you can see here, if you want to review the campaign that you kind of started there or any of the other ones, you just click on that and it opens in another window like so. And you can view, okay, I use Sales Navigator because it's cheaper than Recruiter. And I usually find that it'll give me a good amount of detail. Once this actually comes up, internet's a bit slow here today. There we go. That tells me all the different searches. I can see the Boolean that I put in there and all the different filters. I usually combine Boolean with filters. That kind of gives me the best results. But there's other ways of doing it. Many of our clients use a number of different kind of techniques. A couple of things to note. When you delete it, if say I want to delete an old campaign like this one here, if I want to delete it, that means I never get it again. But you can archive all your campaigns, which means it sits up here in the archive campaigns. I don't have any current, but it means that you don't lose that data, which can be quite useful when you want to export profiles. So you can export all of the profiles here, or you can just export different campaigns, which I'll show you when we get in there. To create a campaign, you just tick on that. These four are quite important. I'll run through really quickly, but they explain it here. Basically, if you're doing normal outreach to new candidates, you want to tick this one and you want to tick this one because you want basically what automated data. So ignoring first degree profiles, what that is anyone you're already first degree profiles with, first degree connections with, it will ignore it so you don't message or connect with that person again for some reason. But it won't pull them into the campaign to start with. So they won't exist in the campaign. Once you create campaign, you can't use these because it's building the data based on these preferences. Automating data cleansing means that often you find with particularly first names, you get somebody throwing in an initial or a middle name or a title or a qualification to throw off any kind of automation. This essentially strips that, so you don't have to go through 2,000 profiles later on and have to kind of edit them manually. And then I find these two I usually play with when I'm doing an outreach to a first degree connection list. So if I'm building a campaign to reach out to people I'm already connected to, you may find that they're connected they're in previous campaigns, say one you ran 6 months ago. If you want to re-include them and message them again, you tick that. And if you want to talk to someone who's already responded, again, somebody who might have talked to you 6 months or a year ago, again, tick on that. Then you hit create campaign. Usually the two that I use are profile links, which means you get 300 maximum. All of our limitations aren't implemented by us. This is to keep your profile safe. So 300 maximum per campaign is because per day, LinkedIn doesn't really like you doing it by URL more than 300 per day. After that, it says this isn't human behavior, and then it starts to penalize you. Same with filter URL. You just kind of take this URL here like so, copy, paste it in there, and create campaign, and bang, you're off to the races. You can see we have a daily input limit of 2,000. That can sometimes be pushed a bit higher than that. You'll see some of my campaigns can be a little above 2,000. And this is the maximum profiles within a campaign. So for each campaign, you get 2,000, but you can only do 2,000 per day. So let's say you can do 10 of 200, 10 campaigns per day of 200, or you can do one of 2,000. That's kind of the basics of how it works. Let's do that. Okay, my mouse is a bit slow today. Yeah, so you can see here 2031, 2106, 2255. It really depends on how LinkedIn's feeling. The rest of it here is, this is telling you how many per day. This is very important. Once you've maxed it out at 100, so we have a warm-up schedule that we provide with an introductory document. You follow that till you hit 100, and ideally you keep it that way. You never let it drop below 100 invites to first degree connections per day. Now, the way you keep it at 100 is you combine multiple different types of campaigns. So if I'm doing some candidate recruitment, say I've got 5 candidate recruitment campaigns, but they're relatively small. And then I have a large kind of client campaign running in the background to reach out to new clients. The way I would run it is I'd have that client campaign sitting in the background. Let's say these two are candidate and this one's client. So I'd make sure that these two are prioritized above this one here. So this is actually ranked in order of actions that you want the software to take. So it'll act on this before it acts on this, then it acts on this. So let's say you've got 2 candidate campaigns running, bang, bang, like so, but you're running it at 25 per day, 25 new connections per day. It'll send 25, then it'll send 25. And then any of the excess capacity, it'll do for first recs monthly. And really what you want to, don't pay attention to this is purely hypothetical. But basically this will sop up any of the extra capacity that you have. The challenge with when it drops significantly below 100 for a series of days. So you saw on my dashboard, I dropped down over the last few days under 100 per day. Let's just show you that quickly. Let's go back to all last 2 weeks. So you can see here, I've had a little bit of a drop off. That's 100. Oh, hang on. Okay. Bit of a delay here. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. Well, anyway, take it from me. So you can see in the last few days, I've had drop-offs in it. And what you want to do is you want to keep it above, you want to keep it stable around 100 every day. And so basically, if these two run out of capacity, let's say you only did them for a couple of days, this will mop up 100 per day until it runs out. So you want to keep lining up a couple of client things under there, just so you're continually getting back to clients. Or other types of campaigns that you can run. Some companies run fundraising, some companies run like a you know, I have recruiters who do kind of training as well on the side, and so they're running a separate business out of this same account. It's good because you can run, you know, as many campaigns as you can imagine, and it'll manage it all automatically, so you don't have to think about any of the follow-ups or anything. Okay, so just running across here, you can see, okay, this gives you, if you hover, it gives you the actual numbers, both invited and accepted, to make up that percentage. The reason it's such a low response rate is because I haven't been messaging them over Christmas. And then you can see here, for each of the different actions the software has taken, it gives you numbers. But you can see there's really nobody sitting in the sequences because I haven't been reaching out to them. And then if you want to go into the actual account, oh, and this status bar tells you how far along it is in terms of, is it active, have I paused it? And you can just change that by there. You can see the green and the yellow correspond to each other. If you want to just going on today, so you can send 75 invite. What this is doing is it's saying, okay, I've sent, yeah, my internet's a bit slow, thank you. 76 invites today. Once it hits 100, that bar will be full. And let's say you're doing it over a number, it gives you just a quick snapshot of how it works. I go in here like so. I'm just going to give you a quick overview here. Campaign, this just sums up what you did in the campaign, which ones you picked. These are your profiles. You need to ensure that this data is as cleansed as possible. And when this data is really cleansed, it means that you get much higher response rates because your messaging is much more targeted. So let's say, for example, I've already cleaned this list, but let's see, here we go. We've got an e-learning center CEO. I might want to get rid of this guy. Boom. And if I want to, I can skip. Skipping means that he doesn't get any messaging. He's kind of excluded. He doesn't get asked. He doesn't get invited, nothing. Re-including means they're put back into the sequence. So they start, the machine starts reaching out to them again. Remove profiles means it's completely deleted. That's important when you want to do an email outreach off the back of this list. So once you've done the LinkedIn, I often do an email outreach after to anybody who hasn't responded within my LinkedIn profile. And you get all that through the CSV that we can download. I'll show you that in a second. And then if you want to find and replace, that's good when, let's say, for example, you want to change a company name or industry, et cetera, et cetera. It makes it easy to do that. And yeah, so that's that. Another thing to note is you can change the amount of profiles shown at once. I usually show all profiles because when I word search, it filters it down, and it means that I can I can exclude and include in one hit. And then you can change visible columns. So sometimes when I'm cleaning the data, I don't want to see like first name, last name, not so interested. And you don't need to clean any of these if you've already clicked the automated data cleanse. So you can strip those off and just focus really on job title, company name, et cetera, et cetera. Exporting CSV is really important. This gives you lots of information, particularly it gives you email addresses. Anybody who connects with you, a lot of the time, any first degrees, you'll get an email address from. It can be really useful for automated follow-ups later on. Another thing that's really interesting is if they've replied. So you can see anybody who's replied is sitting in there like so, and that means I don't follow them up on email if they've already said, sorry, not interested. But usually I just reach out to everyone because why not? And that's that. Scheduling here, you can pick your time zone, where usually I base this on where the recipient is based. So I'll target it East Coast, West Coast, USA, or Europe or Asia, wherever that is, and then kind of pick a time zone in the middle and target it. You want to run this for at least 12 to 14 hours per day. LinkedIn looks at the behavior, and you need to give the system the maximum amount of time every day to operate so that it looks human to LinkedIn. You don't want to compress any of the behaviors. A lot of the cheaper software, you kind of have to leave it sitting open on your browser, and that means it's, you send 100 invites over sometimes a few minutes, and that's a perfect way for LinkedIn to blacklist you. You can adjust for daylight saving and make sure you save the schedule. This is pretty important. Profile views. Usually I'll keep these all in the same amount per day. So for each campaign, at the moment I've got 2 campaigns running and everything's running at 50 per day. The one thing that has changed recently, you'll see here, I've upped it to 100. So what I want to do here is I want to up that to 100. Twitter likes I usually keep at about 50, 30%, 40% of the rest of the numbers, because less people have their Twitter accounts attached to their LinkedIn's. Here is the intro message, the invite message, and you can change those just by selecting different. They're all sitting under templates here. I'll show you that in a bit. I don't really worry about this. If you want to make it look more human, so it'll send a few more or a few less each day, you just check those, but they're not super necessary in my mind. Again, if you want to send in-mails, I usually send an in-mail at the end because it's, I prefer to send sequence messages and then hit them with this at the end, just because it'll hit people who haven't already responded primarily. And then here you can show the different steps. Usually I'll do something shorter than 21. I've just spaced it out to ensure that nobody's getting messaging at the moment, but it's clicked off at the moment. So if I pick it on like so, then I want to change the amount of dates. Usually I'll do like day 1 for the first message, so I'm following them up while they're still aware of me, and then I'll send everything like, you know, every 5 or 6 or 3 or 4 days. Really depends on your style. I would say that a lot of it also depends on whether it's a client or candidate campaign. Then I'll just save the module there like so, and boom, there we go. Now inbox here, just a couple of things to note. It takes a couple of hours for it to sync with LinkedIn's inboxes, primarily because of LinkedIn's capacity requirements. We want to make sure that you're protected in that regard. And yeah, you can export all of your conversations and look at also archive conversations. So you can see here, let's say I want to go to Claire, see what Claire said to me. Glad to hear it. Yep, so I'd love to stay in touch. Now, what I want to do with Claire, let's say Claire said, hey, I'm really interested. I can tag her as interested. If she's not, I can tag her as not. If she says touch base in a month, I'll do that. And let's say I'm using a personal assistant, which I do. She just tags it as Michael, and then I can go back to it and kind of message personally. If there's information she doesn't know how to respond to, that's the best way to do it. And then up here, I can view my different tags. So I want to see, okay, conversations here. I can add more labels here. I have a client who does it by date, so she can follow up every week or every month. And one other point to mention, sorry, again, internet's a bit slow today, is you can also, I don't have a CRM attached right now, but what you can do is you can export these conversations into your CRM. And so the way that you do that is through Zapier. We have a Zapier connection, which you can find up here, I believe, under my profile, and you can set those up later on. And we'll have a module later on for the Zapier integrations. Global limits here, very simple. Keep them all in a line. And this governs all of your different campaigns. You don't want to do more than 100 per day for everything. At the moment, I'm running 100 sequences, but usually when I'm sending messages to first degree profiles, I send that up to 250 and see how we want to do it. Also, you want to see automatically withdrawn unaccepted invites. You want to do that usually over about a 13-day period. I'm doing it a bit longer at this point just because I'm coming out of Christmas, but you can drag and drop. I recommend about 13 to 17 days just because you don't want to have more than that showing. Remember, we're sending 100 every day, so more than that and LinkedIn gets a bit suspicious. Also, you can have a global blacklist here, which basically lets you reach out. If you put URLs on this list, nobody will reach out. The system will not reach out to them on LinkedIn and exclude them basically right across the board. So especially when you have current clients, you don't want to be hitting them with this. That's the best way to do it. Templates. So we have 3 types of templates. We have in-mail messages, which let you send a heading as well as different messaging in here. You can see here we've got a drag and drop variable. If I want to say title start date, there we go. Just pop it in there. There's a whole lot more variables we can pop in like so. Makes life pretty simple. Invite the same. This is the invite that they get before they start the messaging sequence. And here you can see I've put in 4 different messages. That's message 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, day 1, day 5, day 10, day 15, etc., etc. And then support here, we've got a really good support set up like so. Should provide a lot of your answers. This is your first step before you go and send us an email, but we're here if you need us. And one more thing to note, this is the Zapier integration. So we have the instructions here. You can see them like so. I would just follow these and give us a shout if you have any issues. But Zapier, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically, it's like the USB of software. It lets you pass data between two different unrelated pieces of software. So it allows you to really build an effective marketing stack if you don't have an all-in-one CRM like HubSpot or something. But